What is the Internationally Trained Electrician Bridging Program?
They told us at the union meeting that is a government-funded program for training internationally trained electricians.
Are they licensed electricians?
Yes.
Then why do we need to train them?
The Joe Fashion told us that they are out there and competing against us, so we need to slot them in.
What is slot them in?
Give them jobs.
That's nice. Do they take their places on the list behind all of the other unemployed members?
No, the Joe Fashion said that they will get slotted in. He said that they will be asked to sign a contract for a lesser rate and then sent out to contractors.
But don't we have a collective agreement that defines what a licensed electrician's pay scale is?
Yes.
And don't we negotiate that agreement every 3 years?
Yes.
Is it legal to create a new classification that allows new members employment priority and allows contractors to pay them less than existing members?
The Joe Fashion said that it is in his power to allow it.
Who gave him that power?
He said that it is a market recovery initiative and as such, it is in his power to introduce it.
How will we know how many lower-cost electricians they will be slotting in ahead of us?
The Joe Fashion said it will be strictly controlled through the market recovery program.
Who strictly controls the market recovery plan?
I don't know.
Won't all the contractors want to use these cheaper workers?
Why wouldn't they?
Will these cheaper electricians be allowed in the high-rise sector?
I don't know.
Will they be allowed to work in the low-rise housing sector?
I don't know.
Will they be allowed to work in the communication sector?
I don't know.
What if they decide that high-rise apartment work is under attack by the non-union and the contractors must be able to maintain their profit margin? Will they be able to have these new cheaper electricians to be slotted in?
I don't know.
Can you ask the Joe Fashion?
He is not the business manager anymore.
Why not?
He stepped down and became a consultant.
A consultant to whom?
I'm not sure, but there is a new business manager in Local 353.
Who was that?
The Steve Martin.
You mean the ex-dispatcher?
Yes, he was the dispatcher, but then he was elected to be the local union treasurer when he was part of the Joe Fashion election slate.
How did the treasurer get to be business manager of the largest IBEW local in Canada?
He was appointed.
Appointed by whom? Don't we have elections to decide who is business manager?
The executive board appointed him.
Why him? Did they consider the people that ran for that office in the local union election?
I don't know.
Did he run for the office?
No.
Does he have experience as business manager?
No.
What qualifies him for the job?
The Joe Fashion said he brought him up to speed.
But I thought you said the executive board appointed him.
Yes, they did after the Joe Fashion brought him up to speed.
So the executive board appointed the man the Joe Fashion chose.
The executive board appoints vacancies, the Jeff Irons told us at the union meeting. He said it is in the union constitution. He is a great speaker. He says that it is not 35 me, but it is 353. He says it with great feeling, like he means it. He has now been appointed to be the vice president.
What happened to the Robert White?
The Robert White has been appointed to be the president.
What happened to the Barry Stevens?
Barry Stevens has retired.
Why?
I don't know.
Why not wait until the election and serve out his elected term?
I don't know.
Why did the executive board choose the Robert White as his replacement? Won't this give the Robert White an advantage in the next election?
I think so.
Is that why they did it?
Could be. The Jeff Irons says it is in the union constitution that the executive board shall appoint. And it is not Local 35 me. It is Local 353. He is also a great speaker. He is nice and loud and projects his voice. He is an appointed committee person that gets to practice his speaking style at every union meeting. Before being appointed to be vice president, he was allowed to operate the sound system and turn the microphone off and on.
The Perry Sperons asked for a member of the executive board to step up and give reasons why the Joe Fashion election slate-dominated executive board did not choose replacements for vacant executive board seats by appointing the members that ran in the local union elections for the executive board with the next highest vote totals. The Jeff Irons said in a nice loud voice that the union constitution says the executive board shall appoint. He did not give any criteria as the Perry Speranza requested. The Jeff Irons has now been appointed to vice president of the local union, to take the position vacated by Robert White when he was appointed to fill the vacancy left by the Barry Stevens. The Stephen Martin was appointed by the local 353 executive board to fill the vacancy of the Joe Fashion when he retired, and the Bill Acorn was appointed to fill the treasurer position vacated by the Stephen Martin when he filled the position of the Joe Fashion. This is democracy according to the Joe Fashion election slate.
I think I understand why the Joe Fashion slate people would not appoint replacements with the next highest vote counts in the election. It would make it more difficult for them to appoint the rest of their fellow slate members to positions and get ready for the next election by making sure they were all in an advantageous position. Thank you. But how is this process fair to the members that voted in the election?
I don't know, perhaps we should ask them.
Is it fair?
The Jeff Irons says it is according to the Union Constitution. He also says it is 353 not 3-5 me.
What is the Joe Fashion's position in this new appointed group of officers?
He is now an appointed business representative.
Appointed by whom?
He was appointed by the newly appointed business manager, the Stephen Martin.
Didn't the Joe Fashion choose the Stephen Martin as the man he would bring up to speed to fill his vacated position?
Yes. Didn't the local 353 executive board appoint him because he had been chosen by the Joe Fashion?
Yes.
And the appointed business manager Stephen Martin has appointed the Joe Fashion as a senior business representative?
Yes.
What does he do?
I don't know.
Is he still in the office?
I'm not sure.
Why didn't the Joe Fashion serve out his elected term and then allow the Stephen Martin to run and be elected by the membership to take the business manager position?
I don't know, but Steve Martin is a good golfer.
Yes, it was written in the glossy publication mailed out to all union members in Local 353. It was written on the cover that Stephen Martin is a union leader on the move.
Is the Stephen Martin a union leader?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because the Joe Fashion selected him, and then Local 353 executive board appointed him.
Does that make him a leader? What has he done to show leadership?
He has ordered that at least $20,000 be spent to send a glossy publication introducing him to all Local 353 members.
I see.
He also had his picture on an opinion survey of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers LU 353 members.
That looked expensive. What was it for?
It was written that these are important issues that warrant the membership's input, so your viewpoints are taken into consideration.
What does taken into consideration mean?
I think it means that they will think about them.
But why doesn't he present his platform like any other candidate in an election? Will an opposition candidate be allowed to see what the membership response is so that they too will be able to structure their election platforms on what the membership wants? How will the survey know what the membership wants if the survey chose the questions? How will they report the answers to the questions that were not multiple choice? Which members' opinions will be reported? Who will choose which opinions will be reported? Will all members have access to all the information, or will some hired partner decide which opinions are reported? How do handwritten opinions get reported in a statistical analysis?
When the Barry Stevens was still president, he became annoyed when the Perry Sperons asked questions about this survey. The Barry Stevens said that every local union action does not need to be a plebiscite. He ordered the Perry Speranza to sit down.
Was the Perry Speranza happy about being treated in that manner by the Barry Stevens?
No.
Did he stop asking questions?
No.
Very interesting. Thank you for the conversation.
You are very welcome.
There is much to understand about the union.
They handle so much of our money and are responsible for defending our interests.
Thank goodness for democracy and good friends that are not afraid to use their freedom of speech on the internet.
If it were not for free speech, it would be difficult to understand union politics and to be able to see who is worthy to represent us.
I agree.
Have a nice day, and keep an open mind.
Thank you. I will.